The words hit Jackie Chan like a sledgehammer to the chest. "You'll never be Bruce Lee, so just punch harder and stop trying to be clever." Director Michael Winner stood on the set of The Big Brawl, his arms crossed, his face twisted with the kind of dismissive arrogance that Hollywood executives wore like expensive cologne. It was 1980, and Jackie had just spent the last 3 hours explaining his vision for a fight scene that would blend comedy with martial arts, a sequence that would showcase timing and creativity over raw brutality. Winner's response crushed that vision into dust. Jackie stood there in his costume, sweat dripping down his face, surrounded by a crew of Americans who saw him as nothing more than a cheap Bruce Lee knockoff. For the first time in his career, the man who had revolutionized action cinema in Hong Kong felt completely powerless. But what happened in the next 60 seconds would not only change Jackie Chan's life forever, it would transform how the entire world understood what martial arts movies could be. To understand the magnitude of what happened that day, you need to understand what Jackie Chan had already accomplished by 1980. In Hong Kong, he wasn't just a movie star, he was a phenomenon. Films like Snake in the Eagle's Shadow and Drunken Master had established him as something completely unique in martial arts cinema. While Bruce Lee had brought power and philosophy to kung fu movies, Jackie brought something else entirely: joy. Jackie's approach was revolutionary. Instead of the serious, almost mystical tone that Bruce Lee had made famous, Jackie created action sequences that made people laugh while their jaws dropped. His fights were intricate ballets of cause and effect, where every prop in the environment became a weapon or a comedy bit. A ladder wasn't just a ladder, it was a defensive weapon, an offensive tool, and a comedic prop, all in one perfectly choreographed sequence. But Hollywood didn't understand this. To American executives, martial arts movies meant one thing: Bruce Lee. And since Bruce had died 7 years earlier, they were desperately searching for someone who could recreate that lightning in a bottle. Jackie's Hong Kong success had caught Hollywood's attention, and when producer Fred Weintraub offered him a chance to star in The Big Brawl, it seemed like the opportunity he'd been waiting for. This was his chance to bring his unique style to American audiences, to show the world that martial arts cinema could be more than just violence and vengeance. The culture clash began immediately. On his first day of filming, Jackie presented his carefully planned fight choreography to the stunt coordinators. In Hong Kong, Jackie was known for spending days perfecting a single 30-second sequence, making sure every movement told a story, every impact had meaning, and every moment of comedy landed perfectly. The American stunt team looked at his elaborate plans like he was speaking a foreign language. "This is way too complicated," the coordinator said, flipping through Jackie's sketches. "American audiences don't want this fancy stuff. They want guys hitting each other hard." Jackie tried to explain his philosophy. In Hong Kong cinema, fight scenes weren't just about who was stronger. They were about creativity, about using your environment, about finding unexpected solutions to impossible situations. His characters weren't invincible warriors. They were underdogs who won through cleverness and determination. "Look," the coordinator interrupted. "Bruce Lee was successful because he was fast and powerful. You're fast, so just focus on hitting people as hard as you can. Keep it simple." For 2 weeks, Jackie tried to adapt. He simplified his choreography, removed the comedy elements, focused on straightforward combat sequences. But something was wrong. The magic that made his Hong Kong films special, the personality, the creativity, the heart, was being systematically stripped away. The breaking point came during the filming of what should have been the movie's centerpiece fight scene. Jackie had designed a sequence in a cluttered antique shop where his character would use everything from old umbrellas to ceramic vases to defend himself against multiple attackers. It was classic Jackie Chan, creative, funny, and absolutely thrilling. Each prop would serve multiple purposes. Each movement would flow seamlessly into the next, and the entire sequence would tell a story of quick thinking, triumphing over brute force. Michael Winner watched Jackie demonstrate the choreography during rehearsal. Jackie moved through the antique shop like a ballet dancer, turning everyday objects into extensions of his body. An umbrella became a sword, then a shield, then a comedic prop when it opened at just the wrong moment. A grandfather clock became a hiding spot, then a weapon, then a source of slapstick comedy when its pendulum got in the way. When Jackie finished his demonstration, breathless and excited, he looked at Winner expectantly. This was it. This was what made him different, what made him special. Winner's response was brutal. What the hell was that supposed to be? This isn't a comedy show, it's an action movie. Bruce Lee didn't need umbrellas and grandfather clocks. He needed his fists. Jackie tried to explain. But sir, this is my style. In Hong Kong, audiences love when... We're not in Hong Kong. Winner cut him off. We're making an American movie for American audiences. And American audiences know what martial arts movies look like. They look like Bruce Lee movies. The director gestured dismissively at Jackie's elaborate setup. All this cute stuff, this comedy business, it makes you look weak. It makes the fights look fake. You want to be a star in America? Then give them what Bruce Lee gave them. Power, speed, intensity. Jackie felt his stomach drop. But sir, I am not Bruce Lee. I am Jackie Chan. And that's your problem, Winner said with devastating finality. You'll never be Bruce Lee, so stop trying to be clever and just punch harder. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The entire crew had gone silent. Everyone was staring at Jackie, waiting to see how he would respond to being told that his entire artistic identity was worthless. What Jackie did next would either end his Hollywood career before it started, or prove that he was willing to fight for something bigger than just his own success. For a long moment, Jackie stood perfectly still. He looked at the antique shop set he had so carefully planned, at the props he had selected, at the crew members who were watching him with a mixture of sympathy and curiosity. He thought about the years he had spent developing his style, the countless hours perfecting choreography that made people laugh and gasp at the same time. Then he thought about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was Jackie's hero. When Jackie was starting out in Hong Kong cinema, Bruce had already become a legend. Jackie had studied his films, admired his philosophy, respected his incredible impact on martial arts and movies. But Jackie had never wanted to be Bruce Lee. He wanted to be Jackie Chan. The silence stretched on. Winner was getting impatient. Well, are you going to reshoot this scene properly? Or do we need to find someone else who can follow directions? Jackie took off his costume jacket and handed it to a wardrobe assistant. I cannot do this, he said quietly. Cannot do what? Winner demanded. I cannot make a movie where I pretend to be someone I am not. The director's face turned red. Are you kidding me? We've got a schedule to keep. We've got a budget. You can't just decide you don't like the direction. Jackie looked Winner directly in the eyes. You told me to stop being clever, but being clever is who I am. You told me to just punch harder, but punching hard is not what makes my movies special. He gestured toward the antique shop set. This scene, this is my heart. This is what I bring to martial arts cinema. And if you cannot understand that, then we are making the wrong movie. Winner was incredulous. You're walking away over a fight scene? I am walking away because you want me to betray everything I believe about martial arts and movies and myself, Jackie said. And I will not do that. Not for Hollywood. Not for anyone. What happened next became the stuff of industry legend, but at the time, it looked like career suicide. Jackie Chan walked off the set of The Big Brawl and never came back. He flew back to Hong Kong the next day, leaving behind what many people thought was his only chance at American stardom. The Hollywood trade papers called him difficult and uncommitted to the American market. Industry insiders whispered that he had blown his one shot at the big leagues. But Jackie knew something that Hollywood didn't understand yet. He knew that authenticity was more powerful than imitation. He knew that audiences everywhere, American, Chinese, European, everyone, hungered for something new, something fresh, something they had never seen before. Back in Hong Kong, Jackie threw himself into his work with a fury and determination that amazed even his closest collaborators. If Hollywood wanted him to be Bruce Lee, he would become so distinctly Jackie Chan that no one could ever confuse him with anyone else again. His first project after the Hollywood disaster was The Young Master, a film that showcased everything Winner had told him to remove. The comedy was broader, the fight choreography more creative, the use of props and environment more elaborate than anything he had done before. It was as if Jackie was making a direct response to everyone who told him to just punch harder. The film was a massive success in Hong Kong, breaking box office records and establishing Jackie as the undisputed king of Hong Kong action cinema. But more importantly, it proved to Jackie that his instincts were correct. Audiences didn't want another Bruce Lee. They wanted the first Jackie Chan. Over the next few years, Jackie continued to refine and perfect his unique approach. Drunken Master 2, Police Story, Armor of God. Each film pushed the boundaries of what action cinema could be. Jackie's fights became increasingly elaborate, his stunts more dangerous, his comedy more sophisticated. And then something unexpected happened. Hollywood came calling again. This time, it was different. American producers had seen Jackie's Hong Kong films and finally understood what they had missed the first time. They weren't looking for a Bruce Lee replacement anymore. They were looking for Jackie Chan. Rumble in the Bronx, released in America in 1995, was the movie that finally introduced American audiences to the real Jackie Chan. The film showcased everything that Winner had told Jackie to remove: the creative choreography, the environmental awareness, the comedy, the heart. American audiences fell in love with it immediately. The success of Rumble in the Bronx led to the Rush Hour franchise, which made Jackie one of the biggest action stars in the world. But even more importantly, it changed how Hollywood thought about action movies. Suddenly, everyone wanted to make Jackie Chan-style films. The creativity and humor that had once been seen as weaknesses were now recognized as revolutionary innovations. Michael Winner, the director who had told Jackie to just punch harder, watched this transformation with what must have been considerable regret. In later interviews, Winner acknowledged that he had failed to understand what made Jackie special. "I was thinking about what had worked before," Winner said in a 2003 interview. "I wasn't thinking about what could work in the future." Jackie's influence on action cinema became undeniable. Directors like Brett Ratner, who worked with Jackie on the Rush Hour films, openly credited him with changing their understanding of what action sequences could accomplish. "Jackie showed us that fights don't just have to be about violence," Ratner said. "They can be about character, about story, about making people feel something." The ripple effects extended far beyond martial arts movies. Action filmmakers began incorporating more comedy into their fight scenes. Stunt coordinators started thinking about how to use environments more creatively. Even Marvel superhero movies began adopting Jackie's approach of using humor to enhance rather than diminish the impact of action sequences. But perhaps the most important change was in how the industry thought about authenticity versus imitation. Jackie's refusal to be a Bruce Lee clone opened the door for other martial artists and action performers to develop their own unique styles. Jet Li didn't have to be Bruce Lee. Donnie Yen didn't have to be Bruce Lee. Each could be himself, bringing his own personality and approach to the screen. In 2016, Jackie Chan received an honorary Academy Award recognizing his contributions to cinema. In his acceptance speech, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to that moment. "When I was young, people told me I should be like Bruce Lee," he said. "But I learned that the most important thing is to be yourself, to find your own way." After the ceremony, a reporter asked Jackie if he ever regretted walking away from the Big Brawl. Jackie smiled that infectious Jackie Chan smile. "No regrets," he said. "Sometimes the most important thing you can do is say no to the wrong opportunity so you can say yes to the right one." The legacy of that moment on the Big Brawl set extends far beyond Jackie's personal career. It represents something fundamental about the creative process, about the importance of staying true to your vision, even when everyone around you is telling you to conform. Michael Winner thought he was giving Jackie practical advice when he told him to stop being clever and just punch harder. In Winner's experience, American audiences wanted simple, straightforward action. They wanted what had worked before. But Jackie understood something that Winner missed. Audiences were ready for something new. They were hungry for an artist who would show them possibilities they had never imagined. The story of Jackie Chan's Hollywood walkout became a parable for artists everywhere about the importance of authenticity over commercial compromise. Today, Jackie Chan is recognized as one of the most influential action performers in cinema history. His innovations in fight choreography, stunt work, and the integration of comedy with action have influenced countless filmmakers. But perhaps his greatest contribution was proving that being different isn't a weakness to be overcome. It's a strength to be celebrated. The antique shop fight scene that Michael Winner rejected as too cute and too clever became a template that Jackie would use in dozens of future films. Audiences around the world fell in love with Jackie's ability to turn any environment into a playground, any object into a potential weapon or comedy prop. In Hong Kong, there's a saying, "The nail that sticks up gets hammered down." But Jackie Chan proved that sometimes the nail that sticks up changes the whole construction. By refusing to be hammered down into a Bruce Lee-shaped hole, Jackie created space for himself and for every artist who came after him to be genuinely, authentically themselves. The next time you watch a modern action movie and laugh during a fight scene, remember the moment when a young martial artist stood in a Hollywood soundstage and chose to be himself instead of someone else's idea of who he should be. That choice didn't just change Jackie Chan's life, it changed cinema forever. Years later, when Jackie reflected on that pivotal moment, he often spoke about the weight of expectation that had nearly crushed his creativity. "In Hong Kong, I was free to be myself," he said in a 2018 interview. "But in Hollywood, they wanted me to fit into a box that someone else had already filled. The hardest thing was realizing that I had to break that box to become who I was meant to be." The irony wasn't lost on Jackie that Michael Winner's rejection of his antique shop sequence became the inspiration for some of his most beloved fight scenes. In Police Story, Jackie would turn a shopping mall into a battlefield of creative destruction. In Rumble in the Bronx, he transformed a grocery store into an elaborate comedy of errors and martial arts mastery. In Who Am I?, he turned the simple act of fighting on a rooftop into a masterpiece of environmental storytelling. Each of these sequences bore the DNA of that rejected antique shop fight. The use of props as weapons and comedy devices, the integration of the environment into the choreography, the seamless blend of action and humor, all of it traced back to the moment when Jackie refused to just punch harder. The influence of Jackie's philosophy extended beyond his own films. Directors began studying his approach to action choreography, analyzing how he used space, props, and timing to create sequences that were both thrilling and emotionally engaging. Perhaps the most profound impact was on a generation of martial artists who grew up watching Jackie's films. They learned that strength wasn't just about how hard you could hit. It was about how creatively you could solve problems. Tony Jaa, the Thai martial artist who became a star in films like Ong Bak, openly credited Jackie with showing him that Asian action stars didn't have to be serious and stoic. Jackie proved that you could be funny and still be respected as a fighter, Jaa said. Even Western action stars began incorporating elements of Jackie's approach. Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible sequences, with their emphasis on practical stunts and environmental interaction, show clear influences from Jackie's methodology. The Marvel Cinematic Universe's integration of humor into action sequences, particularly in films like Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor: Ragnarok, can be traced back to Jackie's revolutionary understanding that laughter and excitement enhance rather than diminish each other. The financial impact was equally significant. Jackie's Hong Kong films consistently outperformed their budgets, proving that audiences worldwide were hungry for his unique brand of action comedy. When Hollywood finally embraced his vision with Rumble in the Bronx and Rush Hour, the box office numbers validated everything Jackie had believed about the universal appeal of his approach. Michael Winner, reflecting on the incident decades later, became almost philosophical about his mistake. "You spend your whole career learning the rules of the business," Winner said in his final interview. "But sometimes the rules are wrong. Jackie knew something I didn't know, that audiences were ready for something new." Winner's admission highlighted something crucial about the creative process. Innovation often looks like rebellion to those invested in the status quo. What seemed like stubbornness or unprofessional behavior to Winner was actually artistic integrity refusing to compromise. The lesson resonated throughout Hollywood and beyond. Studios began looking for unique voices rather than just copying what had worked before. The success of directors like John Woo, Ang Lee, and Zhang Yimou in bringing their distinct cultural perspectives to international audiences can be partly attributed to the path Jackie blazed by insisting on authenticity over imitation. In Hong Kong, Jackie's stand became legendary. The story was told and retold in film industry circles, becoming a cautionary tale about the importance of believing in your vision even when everyone else thinks you're crazy. Young filmmakers would cite Jackie's walkout as the moment they learned that artistic integrity was worth more than any paycheck. The cultural significance extended beyond cinema. Jackie's refusal to conform became a symbol for Asian artists everywhere who were told to fit into Western expectations. Musicians, writers, painters, and performers began citing Jackie's example when they chose to embrace their cultural identity rather than hide it. Because sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is refuse to follow someone else's revolution. Sometimes the most powerful punch you can throw is the one that says, "I am not who you want me to be. I am who I choose to be." And that punch, thrown by Jackie Chan on a film set in 1980, is still reverberating through Hollywood today. Every time an artist chooses authenticity over conformity, every time creativity triumphs over convention, every time someone refuses to be just a pale imitation of someone else's success, Jackie Chan's legacy lives on. The antique shop that was never filmed became more powerful than any movie Michael Winner ever made.